in light of marking several fish, then experiencing a disappointing bite. Hook and Look host Kim Stricker and his son Danny have descended to the bay bottom to check out the situation firsthand.
As I expected, we immediately discovered that the fish we were marking in this area weren't smallmouth at all, but a school of white suckers slowly meandering along the bottom, which explains the lack of bites. The balls of baitfish we encountered, on the other hand, were spectacular.
Oh man, Dad, just turn your head and look back at me. Up to your right. I wish I didn't have to breathe. I know, as soon as you breathe, that whole boat moves. That is great footage, though. But I got a smallmouth in front of me, right on the edge of these alewives.
What size are the smallmouth y'all are seeing?
About 2.5 pounds. These alewives will circle right around me, just like a tornado. They just, as long as I don't breathe, I just sit here and wait. They just cover you all around.
Wow, I bet that is cool.
But as soon as you exhale, boy, they take off. I don't even know how to explain how wild this is.
Wow, that's gonna be cool to watch on video. That's gonna be great.
There's no doubt in my mind that after witnessing those smallmouths around those huge balls of alewives, that they follow that transient food supply, as do the salmon. That's a point we ran by the professor.
Professor Gerald R. Smith is the curator of fishes at the University of Michigan Museum of Zoology.
Alewives are members of the herring family. They're marine species, and they live in the North Atlantic, but they run up freshwater to spawn. So they were running into the St. Lawrence Seaway, and they could run up as far as Niagara Falls, but that's as far as they could go until the canals were dug in 1924, and they got past the Niagara Falls, through the canals, and up into the Great Lakes. And that's where the trouble started. When the alewives reached the Great Lakes, they found no top predators, which allowed them to undergo a huge population explosion. In some places, they were over 90% of the biomass in Lake Michigan and Lake Huron. So with the alewives creating such a problem, in fact, there were huge die-offs, and alewives were washing up on the beaches around Chicago and Milwaukee. They were a real nuisance and even a public health hazard. The Michigan DNR found a solution to the problem by planting Pacific salmon, especially Chinook salmon at first, and then eventually coho salmon.
And the result catapulted a booming salmon sport fishery. But has the alewife population influenced the Great Lakes smallmouth fishery? In particular, the Here Today, Gone Tomorrow movement.
The populations of alewives and the populations of salmon that follow them are undergoing some kinds of fluctuations, so that they're in a locality at one time and moved on to a different locality at another time. They're just not as abundant as they used to be, except locally at certain times. Now this creates a situation in which the smallmouth bass, which have been a part of the system up there for a long time, are apparently learning how to follow the alewife schools.
Well, that's certainly what Kim and Mark experienced this trip. They searched deeper when perhaps they should have been looking towards the shallows. Considering its enormity, clarity, lack of defined structure, and transient food supply, this body of water is most challenging and unquestionably unpredictable.
Traverse Bay presents a different kind of environment than most of the lakes where you encounter smallmouths, in that those fish, the schools of alewives and the following bass, can go for tens or even hundreds of miles following their food supply and staying in their preferred temperatures.